Hi everyone, so it's Nono again and welcome back to my video of part 2 talking about writing for intermediate level. So in this video we are going to be talking about how we are going to approach the question for writing task. And then from last video, the part 1 of the video of talking about intermediate level writing, we have observed how to answer the question in use of English and how to approach the question in use of English. Like using the example of an exercise from Cambridge examination, Cambridge language assessment. So using that as an example, we have observed how we are going to be using the techniques to change a keyword in the given question, into another form. It's totally different, but it has to mean exactly the same. So last video, we have underlined and highlighted the keywords to change in the answer in the given blank. But in the examination, there will be no already underlined or highlighted things, so we have to do it by ourselves. But what we're going to be doing is not actually for those examination questions. Like we are not specially preparing for the examination. So what we're going to be doing is just to use these questions as a very good studying material to approach the questions and the writing, and then how to plan your writing using these types of questions, because these have so many beneficial things to use and apply. Really practice your writing with these exercises. So in the use of English, we have observed how to transform a sentence and a verb form, like a verb or a word, and any kind of word. It's not actually a verb or one specific topic. It's everything. So you have to change one thing to another without deviating from the main meaning, but that means you have to mean exactly the same. So using that style in the writing test, you will have a given statement or a question, like in an instruction, what you have to write in your answer, in your essay, or in your writing task. So when you give an answer, you will have to rewrite the question. It means paraphrase the question. So you have to rewrite the question or the statement that you're given in the examination, but you have to mean exactly the same as what you're given in the question. So this is like paraphrasing the question. And what we have observed in the use of English type is that we have learned to transform a sentence into a completely new one without changing the meaning. So this is the purpose of use of English. This is one of the many purposes of use of English question type. So today we're going to be using that style, like style of approaching use of English, to actually going to applying and studying how to approach the question types of writing, how to effectively plan your writing. So let's dive right into it. So this one is use of English for writing, the one we observed last video, and then today it's this one, writing. So, okay. So here it is the writing sample, and the question here it says, you stayed with your English friend Tom last weekend. So write an email to Tom. In your email, you should thank him for the visit, say what you enjoyed the most, and invite him to stay with you. So this is what the question is asking you to include in your answer. And these are like very specific topics and very specific subjects you have to include in your answer. And the general instruction for this task is to include write 35 to 45 words on your answer sheet. So this is like when you write your answer to this question, you have to write between 35 and 45 words on your answer sheet. So you will have to write everything on your answer sheet. You can't write anything on your question paper. Like, it doesn't matter if you write anything or your notes, like the draft on your question, it doesn't matter. But you can't just write your main answer in your question paper, because it won't be included in your in what the teachers and the examiners are really going to work on. So only write everything, like the main answers, on your answer sheet only. So this is the general instruction what to do in this type of task. All right, so the main points here in the question, it says you stayed with your English friend. So the question right here, this statement, is actually a general scenario of what you have done. According to the time frame, it's last weekend. So last weekend, everything that happened last weekend has to be in the past simple, because this is the given scenario according to the question statement, and this is the time frame, so you have to consider about last weekend. So this is not last week, this is last weekend. So this is like already done. This is past tense, past simple. So this is a given time frame of the question. Write an email to Tom. This is what the question asks you to do. Write an email. So this is an email form. In your email, you should thank him for the visit, say what you enjoyed the most, and then invite him to stay with you. So these three facts are just trying to ask you to write what you have to write in your examination paper, in your answer paper. So this is like an example of how to example question of how to approach your writing and how to plan everything. So what we have done is we have gone through an overview of this question, and then we have actually tried to comprehend what the question asks us to do and what it requires us to actually include in our answer. Like in this type, it is, in this case, this is the email. So in your email, we have to include these facts. These facts are like really important ones, the main facts that you have to include in your answer. And then this statement, this one here, is actually a scenario. So what you have to be doing in your answer is that consider about the reader and you are writing a letter, like in this case an email, to the potential reader. So the reader can be the examiners in the examination, or your friend right here, Tom. So in this case, you have to imagine that your reader is going to be your friend, Tom. So you have to be like very friendly. You have to include the style of being very friendly, very lighthearted, very fun. These type of expressions must be in your email, in your letter, and in your answer. So this is like the appropriate style to put into your essay. And another thing that you have to be doing right here in your answer is that you need to rewrite this thing, this whole statement, in your own form. Like you mustn't write in the exactly same form, but have to make it a lot more compact and then more easy to understand, but you have to include every single fact. So that's not too difficult, because we will be trying to look at the ways of how to approach the question and how to plan your answer in looking at this question, this type of question, in this case, this one, the email here. So looking at this statement, you have to rewrite the question. So that means the paraphrasing thing. You have to paraphrase this whole statement, the question, in your own sentence. But you have to mean exactly the same. And then looking at the instruction, it says 35 to 45. So that's generally like one paragraph essay or email, in this case. So this is a very short paragraph, and you have to write between 35 to 45 words. So that means it's a very short paragraph. So you have to limit your words, limit your facts that you're going to include. So let's go to the approaching the questions. So this is approaching the question. So the facts here is read the instructions carefully, all right, and underline the main words or the key words in the question. So choose the suitable style for the question. formal or informal, etc., based on the reader. So based on the reader is like, in this case, in the email, this one, your reader is going to be your English friend, Tom. So this is like, you know that your reader is going to be your friend. So you know that you have to be very informal, you know. And another thing to be careful in your informal writing style is that no matter how informal you are, you can write any short forms. You can write any short forms of words. Like you can't write because into the form of cuz, because it's going to be very, this is like literally shortened words. These don't have their original meanings. So because, if you want to write because, just write because. Don't do it like cuz. This is like, you have to write every single word in their own original meaning and then original forms. Just don't try to do anything to them. Just write in their own complete forms and complete words. And then what you can actually do, is that you can write contractions like apostrophe, and then you don't, I don't, she doesn't, things like that. You can write them, but the main thing to be careful here is that do not write shortened words that don't have any original meaning. So yeah. And then here it says suitable style for the question, formal or informal, based on the reader. So we've done that. And so another thing here is to choose suitable tenses for the question. We've already done that too, because the suitable tenses means in the question, the given time phrase, in the given scenario, um, this will be taking place in last week, last weekend, last night, or the next morning, the next day, things like that. Looking at the given time phrase in the given question, we will have to decide whether it's past, present, or future. So this is like the suitable tenses for the question. All right, so another thing is to have appropriate word selection for the question type. So the question type is email, so you have to be informal. So we've already done that here, formal and informal. So word selection, appropriate word selection means this is very specific, you know. So let's go back to the sample. Here it said you stayed with your English friend Tom last weekend. So last weekend, the Saturday, Sunday, last Saturday and Sunday, write an email to Tom. In your email, you should thank him for the visit. So appropriate word selection would be, for example, here it says thank him for the visit. So it will have to be like, I would like to thank you. I would like to say thank you, or I would like to express my gratitude. Something like that. Thanking him for the visit will include thank you, and then I would like to thank you. I would like to express my gratitude. Things like that. You will have to include the expressions that relate to the given statement that you are trying to approach, you are trying to rewrite in your answer sheet. And then say what you enjoy the most. What you enjoy the most will have similar expressions to what I like the most. um, for example, the video games were my favorite thing. So my favorite is means exactly the same as enjoyed the most. And invite him to stay with you. So inviting him to stay with you will include similar word forms and phrases like I would like to include I would like to invite you to stay with me next time you visit me. So something like that, you know, inviting him. So this is the appropriate word selection according to the question. Not actually the type, but it actually depends on each and every word and each and every given scenario of your given statement or the question. So that's basically how to select the appropriate words for the question, because in the question you will be asked to include all these facts. Like you will be given the details in this level of the examination. You will be given these specific facts and then the task which you are going to be writing in your answer sheet. So this is how to select the appropriate words for your question. Okay, so another one is to always refer back to the question, so indirectly. So what this actually means is that you don't have to copy the question over and over again, because this is like unnecessary. Just keep in mind what the question asks you to do and then what it requires you to do, what facts it requires you to include in your answer. So this is like always have in mind what the question asks you to do. So this is like always refer to the question indirectly. So indirectly is like you have to include, I mean, in some cases, you have to include the words in the question because this is what you're supposed to be doing. Exactly, especially in the examination, this is what you are supposed to be doing because you need to show the examiner, I mean, in the question, in the examination, you have to show the examiner that you are a candidate who exactly understands, who really understands exactly what the question asks you to do. So if you want to show that, just refer back to the question with your own words, paraphrase it, rewrite it in your own style. And it has to mean exactly the same. So this is part of how to approach the question. And then it's like always refer to the question. So it's like you have to rewrite the question. You don't have to copy the question like unnecessarily over and over again because this is just going to result in your unnecessarily bloating answer, because in the instruction it only asks you to write between 35 to 45 words. So if you just copy the question, the statement too many times, it's going to be like very unnecessarily complicated answer. You won't be able to have enough space for your main ideas and the other facts that you want to express in your answer sheet, in your answer, in your email, you know. And another thing is that plan at least 1 point per prompt. So according to the question type. So here, this type gives us 3 prompts, like 3 main prompts that we have to rewrite in our own answers. So this is like you have to do, the first fact is to thank him for the visit. The second fact or the prompt is to say what you enjoyed the most. And then the last prompt or the fact is to invite him to stay with you. So for each and every single prompt, you have to plan at least one idea. But right here, go back to the instruction, go back to the question. It says you have to write between 35 to 45 words. So you don't have to expand too much of the ideas or the prompts given. So what you have to do is to write like 1 sentence per prompt, like at least 1 or 2 sentences. You know, you have to include 1 or 2 sentences per prompt. So you say, thank you so much for the visit. I mean, according to the length of your sentence, like according to how many words your 1 sentence contains. Like, if your 1 sentence is long enough for 1 point, just leave it like that. Don't write another sentence because it'll be like the essay or the email will be very, very um, flooded with unnecessary words and unnecessary facts because it only asks you to write between 35 to 45 words. And then another thing, say what you enjoy the most. And just like that, if you wrote too many words for 1 sentence in thanking him for the visit, you have to decrease your word count in the second fact. And you'll have to write a simple and then short sentence, like 1 sentence for the second fact. So just like that, this is like really, really calculating how much you will be having to write and how much you will be having to increase your word count and then per prompt, So this really depends on your length of sentence and the number of words your sentence contains. So if you write a one simple and short sentence, just write 1 to 2 sentences. So if your sentence is long enough, just leave it like that and then jump to another one. I mean, make sure it's perfect enough for each prompt, and then make sure it contains every single fact the statement and the requirements ask you to do. And just like that, you have to calculate your word count. All right, so give a topic sentence on what you're writing about. So this is especially correct in a long essay type because, for example, in IELTS examination, task 2, you will be given a statement and then you will not be given any prompts. You will be only given a statement in the question, and then you will be having to plan your own ideas, what you're going to be writing in the answer, what you're going to include in your essay. So example, you'll be having a statement that states about agree or disagree or things like that, and then you'll be having to plan at least 2 facts for each paragraph. One paragraph for 1 point and 1 point for one paragraph with an example, of course, appropriate example. Your example must be general. It mustn't be personal, So in the IELTS examination for task 2, you'll have to plan your own facts. And then each and every fact, like 2 facts, will be going into separate paragraphs. And then you'll have to write your main idea as your topic sentence, make it clear, and then you'll have to expand the idea in different words. And then you will have to put in a very appropriate example at the end of the paragraph. Then the same goes to another paragraph of another idea. So for the email type that we have just looked at, so it's just a very short paragraph type, so you don't have enough space to expand each and every fact that's given in this statement and the question. So each and every fact that you write, referring back to the question, will already be a topic sentence. It will be a topic sentence automatically, so you don't have to expand the idea again. It's like a topic sentence, and then the main idea will already go to like they will be automatically be there in your answer because this is an email type, and then it doesn't require too much expansions, and then it doesn't require much explanations and things like that. So this is for a long essay type. This is in a long essay type, so you don't have to write too much about topic sentence. You don't have to expand too much. I mean, in this case, in this email type. And then the last one is just what we've talked about, the expand the topic sentence with varying words if possible. So this is very applicable in the long essay type, but in our example, it is an email type, so we don't really have to expand that much. So the warning here is not to repeat the same idea for more than once. So this is very important because this is a very common misconception, misinterpretation, one of the most misinterpreted facts in the examinations. And especially what we see here is that most candidates just like to repeat the same idea. They just want to make it different, So this is unnecessary. Just make your idea once and then make it become clearer to the reader. Like in this case, in the examination, the examiner will be your reader. So make it clear and make sure that the reader, the examiner or anyone like that, So make sure that you are answering correctly and very clearly to the readers that you're going to be experiencing. So repeating the same idea for more than once. For example, it will be like, I am coming to you next week. And then next week, I am coming to you. So these two are literally the same thing, but only different structures. So these things are like unnecessary. So if you have stated your main idea once, then it's okay. You don't have to say it for the second time. If you want to expand it, just expand it, but make sure it's not the same idea for the second time. So this is the very important fact and the warning that most students try to do, and they get kind of complicated and just misinterpreted. So yeah, these are the facts on how to approach the question in the writing types. So yeah, this is all for today's video, and then in the next video we will be talking about each and every fact on how to approach the question. We will be going in depth. We will be going in details on how to really approach the question, each and every fact. We will be making sure that every single fact is very easy to understand and comprehensible. So yeah, this is the end of today's video, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.